Hello, I'm Dave Wilson in the Center for Instruction and Research Technology at the University of North Florida. In this video, I'm going to show you how to use Adobe Spark to create course banners for your Canvas courses. As you can see, I've already logged into Adobe Spark and I'm on my home page. Let's go ahead and create a project. I'm going to click the Create a Project button and choose Custom Size Graphic. On the screen, I could type in the width and height in pixels of the graphic to create, but I know from past experience if I choose Social Profile and Twitch Banner, I'll get a graphic that's a good size to use as a Canvas course banner. So I'm going to choose that and click Next. Spark will then create a blank canvas and open up the Templates main menu item on the right-hand side and allow me to pick a template to use to start my banner. I've selected a course pretty much at random from the Spring 2020 course catalog at UNF called Civil Engineering Geomatics. And I know for creating this banner that I want to create a banner with the text of the course name and course number along with a photograph as a background. So let's select a template that will work. I'm going to choose the first one because it has a background image and some text on it. When I click on it, it lets me see a larger thumbnail of the image and gives me the ability to create this template. So when I click on that, it takes a minute to load, but you'll notice that now I have this template to work with. So the first thing that I like to do when I'm creating course banners is to change the text to have the main text be the course title and then change another text field or add a text field to be the course number. So I'm going to double click on this main text box here to edit it and type in the name of the course. And click on Done. And you'll notice now that the course title is too big, so I can click on one of these corner buttons and hold the mouse button down and drag to change the size. So I'm going to make this a little bit smaller, and then I'm going to drag it. And you'll notice as I drag, when the magenta dotted line shows up, it lets me know that it's centered horizontally on the banner, and then if I drag it down, it will let me know when it's centered vertically on the banner. So I'm going to go ahead and center that. I'm also going to double click on this smaller text box and change it to the course number, which is CNG 3322C, and click on Done. And then I'm going to drag this to the top left-hand corner. And I'm going to delete this text box because I don't need it. Also, because I have this nice line here at the bottom, I'm going to go ahead and change this and drag this down to the bottom left-hand corner because it has a nice area for it. So now that I've changed the text, the next thing I'm going to do is change the photograph. Now, I could have done this in the opposite order, changed the photograph first and then adjusted the text. It really wouldn't matter. I just like to get the course title in there as soon as possible. But to change this image, I'm going to select it. And then here I could either click this button to replace it, or on the menu on the right-hand side, I could click the Replace button. So I'm going to do that. One thing to consider when you're choosing images is sometimes the course title isn't the best search term to use. If you search for something like mathematics, you may not get a good set of images that represents mathematics. You may need to search for other terms that would bring up photographs that are more appropriate. So if I search for civil engineering, you'll notice it returns some photographs of like a bridge, some trucks working, some pipes. I know from the course description that this course is really about teaching survey instruments to students, so these photos aren't as appropriate as something like a survey instrument. So I'm going to search for land survey, and this is a better search term. Now you can see that it actually has some survey instruments that I could use in the banner. The other thing to note is Spark has two photo collections that you can search from that are both public domain photo collections. If you click on the arrow next to the search box, you can choose between Pixabay and Unsplash. If you notice I choose Unsplash, the photos really aren't as good, but it depends on the topic that you're searching for. Sometimes one is better than the other. So I'm going to go back to Pixabay, and I'm going to click on the image of this instrument. So once I clicked on the image, you notice it automatically resizes it so it fills the space of that image box. And so this image right now, it's interesting, but it really doesn't make a lot of sense. You can't really tell what it is. So I can click on it and drag it down to maybe pull out some more of the detail of the instrument so you can kind of see what it is a little bit better. The next thing I want to do is, there's a lot of colors going on in this particular image, so I want to adjust that. So the way that I'm going to do that is apply a filter. So if I go over on the menu on the right hand side, because I have the image selected, one of the options is filters. So I'm going to click on that, and here you have a bunch of different filters that you can choose. Right now, if I choose something like contrast, you'll notice that it adjusts the photo, but it doesn't take away the colors. What I'm going to do is choose grayscale, and that converts it to a grayscale image. So now that I've changed the image to a grayscale image, you notice that the title of the course is a little bit harder to read. The G gets kind of lost here. So I want to change the color palette of the elements in the banner. And the way that I do that is I deselect any of the elements by clicking down here in the gray. So I get my main toolbar available, my main menu, and I'm going to choose colors. So this allows me to select a color palette. I've added the University of North Florida colors in the past, so you probably won't see this, but I'm not going to use those colors for this particular banner. I want some warm colors that I can use that will pop against the gray background. So what I'm going to do is find a nice palette that has some warm, bright colors, maybe something like this one. So I'm going to click on that, and you notice it changes the colors for the elements automatically. Now I like that the banner at the bottom, or the line at the bottom, has changed to this rust red color. I think that looks good, but this is still a light color and it doesn't stand out any better. You'll notice there's a shuffle button, and what this does will shuffle between the colors. You'll see this button in a lot of areas in Spark, and it's good just to, you can click through and adjust till you get a color palette that might work. So I'm just going to continue to click here, and I'm still not able to get this to change to a color that stands out by shuffling, so I'm actually going to click on it and change the color of the text manually. So I'm going to go to color here, and then I can use one of the suggested colors that pulls from the palette. So I can choose that red that's very similar to the red of this box. So at this point, you can see that the title of the course is pretty easy to read, but what if I want to make it stand out a little bit more? I can select it again, and you have some effects and shapes. So if I click on shapes, these are things that get added to the background of the text or to the text. And then effects are things like shadows and outlines. So I'm going to go back to shapes, and I'm going to just choose a box here, and that will go behind the text to make it stand out a little bit more. So at this point, I'm happy with the banner, and I'm pretty much ready to save it. There's two last things that I need to do. The first thing is to actually give this banner a name. And the way that you do that is go up to this top bar, and where it says My Post, I'm going to click on that and change it to CEG banner. So that way I'll know what it is when I'm looking at it from my list of projects from the home screen or from my project list. The last thing that I need to do now is save it so I can add it to Canvas. I'm going to click on the download button and choose the default PNG and then click on Start Download. And that will allow you to save the banner to your computer where you can then add it to Canvas. I hope you found this tutorial valuable, and I encourage you to play around with Spark and use some of the other tools when creating your banners. And as always, if you have questions, feel free to reach out.